Smartphone battery life has always been a bane for any smartphone user. Over the past few years, we've seen smartphones get thinner and thinner and thinner, and batteries get smaller and smaller and smaller. And with that has come the new trend of having a sealed-in back with the smartphone, because of which you can't remove the battery. So battery life has suffered over the past few years. So today we're going to take a look at a device that aims to give the battery back to the smartphone, and instead of using other techniques such as fast charging, it goes the old-fashioned way by putting in a massive battery in there. Hey guys, this is Alvi from Techitron, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Walton Primo RM2, a device which has a bloody 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Let's get into it. Now I'm just going to do a quick unboxing of the Primo RM2 and show you what's inside the box as well as how they package the thing. So we've seen this before, standard Walton affair. This was the new type of boxing we saw on the Primo NX2, and as you can see I already did take this off. So the specifications are here, so let's just get rid of this. And as soon as you take the lid off, as always, we have the device without the battery installed. Next up, if we take this off, we have these nice white headphones with flat cables, the wall adapter, a very good quality USB cable, micro USB cable, the warranty card, as well as that big 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And that's about it. Surprise, surprise, we're starting with the design and build quality. So first things first, I just want to get the main hype all the way out of here, and let's just show the huge battery here. Now this is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, guys. And I mean, well, actually it's not as big as I would have expected it to be. It's slightly larger than a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, but it's a bit more thicker, so I guess that's where all the extra milliamps really fit. So with that out of the way, let's actually take a look at the device, because I really want to get the battery out of the way. So the first thing you'll see here is this back. Now we have a sort of dimpled texture here. I'm not sure if you can get a good look at it, but the dimples are kind of squarish, not like circular like you'd find on a golf ball. Now what this does is it gives you a good amount of grip because it creates a bit of friction between you and the back of this device. Now obviously this is removable, and I'll take it off later on and show you what's inside. Again, with the Primo RM2 branding here and Walton over here. The camera, which is a 13 megapixel unit with a chrome finish and a dual LED flash. Bloody crow. Yeah, we have crows in Bangladesh, excuse that. Right, up front, nothing really too spectacular. We have a line of capacitive keys here on the bottom, which actually light up, so good job done by Walton. And another interesting thing is you could actually control whether or not you want the capacitive keys to light up or not. So I found that to be a bit, handy, because sometimes in the dark you don't really want to just, going off now and whenever. So over here on the right hand side, we have the power button, which is easily within the reach of the user. And on the opposite side, we have the volume up and down button. Now these aren't as clicky as I would expect or want really, but they're very responsive, and that's not really an issue over here. Taking a look at the top, we have the 3.5mm headset jack, and if we look at the bottom, yay, rear mounted, not rear mounted speakers actually. So the bottom firing speakers are actually pretty good. They're loud, they're nice, but just make sure you don't cover them up whenever you're going and playing games, because it's actually very easy to do when you're playing like this. Sometimes you just accidentally cover this up, ruins the whole experience. Don't do that. Right next to it, we have the micro USB port. So if you take a look at the side, you can see there's a sort of a not a hinge, but like a bezel type of a thing. It's all plastic, just for aesthetic sakes, and that's about it. So let's actually just take off the back and show you what's inside. Now that the back is off, you can get a pretty good look of what's inside. Now I removed the battery previously and showed it to you, but here's the back end. It's nice and flexible, so I don't think it's gonna break if you'd try to yank it off too hard. But over here, there's this massive cavity for the 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Yeah, that's a lot of space. Micro SD card slot, micro SIM card slot, and a regular SIM card slot, as usual. Yes, this is dual SIM. Very handy if you live in Bangladesh and have, multiple phones and whatnot. And that's about it. Another thing I'd actually like to talk about is that this phone is actually not as fat as most people would think, because you have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. People think it's gonna be really fat. No, it's just 9.8 millimeters thick, and I mean, I barely found it any difficult to hold the device or use it, and I didn't even think it was very heavy, because it's plastic. Plastic is lightweight. So yeah, I mean, inconveniences, no, none actually. So that's a very good thing about this device. Next up, I want to talk a bit about the display, since this is really what you're going to be looking at most of the time. Oops, not the camera. But yeah, so we have a 5-inch display with a 720p resolution, the pixel density of 294 pixels per inch. So I'm just going to go through some of the new stock marshmallow wallpapers to show you that, yeah, things look very nice and sharp and clear, as expected of a 720p display. I'll bring this up a little closer in case if you want to get a better feel of what's going on. As you can see, things look very great, very nice, colors are awesome. The viewing angles too aren't bad. I mean, could have been a little bit better. But there's one thing about this display that I think could have been a little bit more improved, and that is the brightness. Now, as you can see, the brightness is set to max, and as is mentioned in the written review as well, we found it a little difficult to use this outdoors because the brightness wasn't as high as like we would have liked. But that's not really much of an issue if you cover up the display a little. It's still visible, not completely invisible. But I mean, a little bit brighter would have been better. And since we have seen Walton put up displays that are brighter than this, I mean, we kind of have expected it. So I mean, it's either a negativity coming from their own good reputation. But yeah, as you can see, images look very nice. I mean, if you want full quality images and like camera samples, just check out the written component. We've got a lot of stuff over there. Moving on, we're going to go and talk about the performance of this device. So first of all, let's check out the AnTuTu benchmark scoring, which is 19,773, which is actually very decent. So let's move on to talk about some of the more in-depth parts of this benchmark. As you can see some of the details about the internal specifications and whatnot. But I suggest if you want more detailed looks on this, just check out like the written component on our website. But to go over things in short, we have a 1.3 GHz quad-core processor. Yes, this is a MediaTek processor, obviously. And then we have 2 GB of RAM, 16 GB of ROM, and a Mali 400 GPU. So that's all nice and good. I'd also like to mention that this also has an OTG support, which I'll be demonstrating a while later. But other than that, final aspect I'd like to talk about in the battery segment, in the performance segment, is the battery. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the review, this smartphone is hyped just because of that big 5,000 mAh battery. And to give you a good look at things, I ran about 2 days with this smartphone without requiring charge. And this is the first time I've done that with any smartphone. So I was completely flabbergasted. I was like, wow, I did not need to charge this phone for 2 days. So it was pretty big for me, because I've never had to do that on a smartphone other than like a Nokia 3310, which was like ages ago. So yeah, this was a new for me. I was quite shocked that I did not need to do this, but again, a 5,000 mAh battery, that's kind of what you're supposed to, expect, given that the display is also 720p display. Now, I'd also like to mention that by the time I did run out of battery, it was on the third day morning, I was into about, let's say 49 or 50 hours of use. So yeah, it lasted me a really long time, and I did put it through its paces. I was testing it, I was playing games, I was watching YouTube videos. The battery held up, and wow, it was something different. That was something really different. As you can see, we don't have a stock Android experience here. We have what is being called Live Launcher as the user interface over here. We are using Android 5.0 Lollipop, which I'm just going to show you in a bit right now. But as you can see, these bits, other than the launcher itself, completely stock Android. See 5.0 here. Yeah, let's not waste some time here. Okay. So Live Launcher does have some good points and some, not so good points. Now, the good points are it offers you a lot of customization, such as this unique ability to set like this weather effect. See, natural effects, it's set to auto, but if I set like snowy and go back here, you see there's this nice little neat snowy effect. It also has a built-in RAM cleaner and a theme store and whatnot. Very typical of customizable launchers. But the reason why I'm not really happy with this launcher is because oftentimes I've found that the launcher lags and stutters. And that's very unusual because I tried like using the smartphone with other launchers such as Nova Launcher Prime, Apex Launcher, and even TSF Shell. Everything worked absolutely fine. I think it's just this particular build of Live Launcher that's causing the stutters and whatnot. But other than that, as you can see, everything is very nice and buttery smooth. So what I usually do is I just, get out of here, get Nova Launcher, and I have my nice, super fast, super smooth stock Android experience. And with that, basically, you get a completely stock Android experience, no problem whatsoever. So I would just suggest staying away from the launcher and getting a third-party launcher from the Play Store. Not at all difficult on Android, not a drawback. Moving on, we're going to talk a bit about the camera now. So as you can see here, we have a very stock-like viewfinder that we've seen on many Walton devices before. You have your various shooting modes here: panorama, live photo, beauty face, etc. Nothing too much to go over. You have HDR, the flash, and the camera switching, as well as a smile detector. Over here, again, basic, your shutter, your video, and again, if we go into settings, yeah, we've seen these all before. No need to go over them in detail. If you want, you can just look at a previous video of ours. We've covered them pretty well. What I do want to show you is the camera quality. So first of all, we have a 13 megapixel unit on the back of the smartphone, as I mentioned in the design phase. So as you can see here, I just took some images of still life, and things turned out very nice because, well, first of all, there was a lot of lighting, but there's a lot of sharpness to the images, and the post-processing too was very good. Very pleased with this image. Again, here, colors look very nice and accurate. The aspect ratio is also very nice. Good bit of sharpness, and overall a great picture, especially given that, like, a lot of light, you kind of expect it. So this picture was taken with the HDR mode turned on, and this picture was taken without it. So as you can see, there's a little bit of overexposing here. So I would suggest, just keep the HDR mode off. Now over here, I'm just, showing you a couple selfies taken with the 5 megapixel front-facing camera, excuse me. And as you can see, things look very nice and sharp again, and I'm very pleased with the front-facing camera. Gave me very good results. Now, one thing I'd like to mention is that it takes a bit of time for the shutter to work, and sometimes it takes a while to gain focus. Now, as you can see in some of these images, okay, this one's a better example. You can see I tried to take this image outdoors, very good daylight, but I could not get the focus on the flowers that I would have liked. But on the other hand, on, let's say, yes, this image, focus came out absolutely perfect. I mean, right on. I didn't need to adjust or anything. But sometimes this is just to show you that it may be a hit or miss with the focus and the shutter speed. So make sure you don't move your hands while you're taking pictures. Now again, as you can see, some more examples of photos taken outdoors, good daylight, everything looks nice. This was on a cloudy day, so things might look a little bit darker. So not really a big issue again. Now there's some the pictures that I took indoors, and the lighting situation wasn't the best because, well, first of all, it was raining outdoors, and the restaurant we went to wasn't very well lit, but the images still came out really good, even though I didn't use any flash or any external light. So all in all, the camera produced some very good quality images, although sometimes the shutter speed was lackluster. We're finally at the conclusion of our review, and it's time to give you an overview of what's the good and what's the bad about the Walton Primo RM2. So as usual, we're going to start with the good points. I think the most obvious thing is definitely that big battery at 5,000 milliamp hours. It lasted me so long. I was really surprised and completely pleased with this. Absolutely satisfied. No complaints about the battery life whatsoever. Moving on from that positive, we have the form factor. Now, when you have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, you'd expect this to be a little, cumbersome, maybe a little heavy. Not at all the case here. In fact, I found the smartphone to be very comfortable in the hand, and it never really bothered me with its weight or dimensions at all. So that's a definite plus. Next up, we have Android 5.0 Lollipop, and I love Lollipop so much, even though it's rumored to give you bad battery life, but I had no issues here, so absolutely excellent. I love Lollipop on this. Next up, we have the price. At 11,990 taka, I think with the specifications package as well as that big 5,000 mAh battery, again, that battery, I think this is worth it. I mean, where else are you going to get that big a battery for this particular price point in Bangladesh? Yeah, Walton's doing some things over here. Next up, let's move on to some of the things that I didn't really like much. So I'd have to start with that launcher. Now, Live Launcher wasn't really towards my taste, but that's not really a big issue because just hit the Play Store, search a launcher, download, and go over with whatever you like, and the problem is solved. Now after that, as I mentioned before, the screen brightness, I would have liked it to be a little bit higher so that outdoor visibility would have been better, but that really didn't bother me at the end of the day, so it's all cool. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, that's all about it actually. So yeah, I mean, with all that included and this entire package considered, I think that the Walton Primo RM2 was a very good device, and I personally really enjoyed reviewing it. So at the end of the day, it's all about whether or not you like the device and whether it suits you based on the price and whatnot. So I really hope you liked our review. It did take a while to get to this conclusion, but yeah, let's just say that you enjoyed the review and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on Facebook and do visit our website to check out the written component, and we did publish that before the review actually. So the written component has a lot of the details that you won't really find in the video description, such as maybe the specifications. So do check that out. Thank you for watching.